Greetings, everyone. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to another edition of Classic Live Album War. Today we've got a very special guest. He's back yet again. You've asked for him. Here he is, Mr. Chris Alo.
Hey,
welcome.
How's everybody going? Pete, thanks for having me back.
So happy to have you back, my friend. It's been a while. Chris is
Always a
here
pleasure.
To join us on some discussions about, we got 4 different classic album wars we're going to talk about during today's recording, but of course we're doing one show at a time here. So today, not surprisingly, we're going to kick it all off with kind of a Black Sabbath war, so to speak. Right?
Absolutely.
So, I basically gave Chris like a long list of all the ones that I was thinking of having him on for. And of course, this was top of the list. Actually, there were 2 that were top of the list, but this particular battle has to be done, seeing as we did all those wonderful Black Sabbath history of shows. So,
and I was just saying to Pete, it's uncanny. I was thinking about it earlier today. It's mind-blowing when you think that the Ozzy and Sabbath as separate entities, first time from not being together. In 1980, they do Blizzard of Oz and Heaven and Hell, 2 masterpieces.
Yep.
Just a year later, they both do they both up themselves, in my opinion, with Diary of a Madman and Mob Rules. And then in late 82, early 83, bam, again, they're still going head to head with 2 two very different, double live records. Although there is some crossover on the track listing.
Quite a few similar songs,
yep.
But yeah, exactly. So,
it's amazing that they were literally going head to head for years.
Which for some of us,
that
didn't make me too happy, to be honest with you. But so of course we're talking about Black Sabbath's Live Evil. And I got some glare there. All right, last recording with Ozzy and Vinny for a little ways.
Ronnie,
what did I say?
Ozzy.
Oh, did I say Ozzy? I'm sorry. I said
Ronnie.
Right. Ronnie James Dio, Vinny Appice or Vinny Appice, and then on the other end of the ring here, we're talking about Speak of the Devil by Ozzy and Company. So by this time, this is after Randy had passed away.
Yep. So, and I have I have the British version, which is called Talk of the Devil.
That's right. Yes.
Because apparently Speak of the Devil is not a term in England, but Talk of the Devil is.
Speak of the Devil, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Talk of the Devil.
Yeah.
So here you've got Ozzy along with Brad Gillis on lead guitar from, of course, Night Ranger, who played in the band for, what was he, about a year, maybe? Or was it even that long?
Well, I believe it was less, because
Probably.
Randy died, was it February? And
Bernie Torme came in briefly.
Came in, yep. And then they went right to Brad Gillis.
Yeah. So he basically just fulfilled the live obligations that they had.
Yes.
Right?
Okay. And if I'm not mistaken, they had already recorded with Randy the album, which would later be known as Tribute. But after Randy's untimely death, it was wisely decided to hold off and not do a cash-in of the double live record. So I forget the logistics of it, but it was Ozzy needed to give them a double live record. So the compromise was to quickly get Ozzy in front of an audience to do a set of nothing but Sabbath songs,
stuff, yeah.
which he's never done before, and he's never done since.
Right.
Recorded 2 nights at the Ritz in New York City, and if I remember right, the band did not have a lot of time to prepare because they were playing the Diary of a Madman set every night, and of course, Ozzy was a mess. So I guess at some point the band had to learn these extra songs because the 3 songs that they were doing, Iron Man, Children of the Grave, and Paranoid, they were doing anyway. But the other 10 songs, you got
Sweet Leaf and all the other stuff.
Fairies Wear Boots,
Snowblind. I mean, the Black Sabbath, Sabbath Bloody Sabbath, Fairies Wear Boots. All of a sudden you got all these real classic Sabbath tunes that Ozzy hadn't played in a few years, or a bunch of years, actually.
I mean, I recently listened, besides the actual record, there is online, you can find the recordings, the unaltered bootleg recordings, and I forget which one it is, but there's a couple of them where in his intros, Ozzy's like, well, we haven't done this one in a long time, man. And I'm like, wait, you never did this one with these guys. This is the first time these guys are playing these songs.
Exactly. In capable hands, too. I mean, Brad Gillis is a sensational guitar player. You got Rudy Sarzo and Tommy Aldridge. We all know about those guys, right? But they did these Sabbath classics in a little different way.
Yes, I was going to say, I instantly thought of our friend Butch Jones because
Butch, we know you're watching.
Absolutely, because I know he loves this record.
Yes.
I know he loves Brad Gillis. When I played this album the other day, it held up better. I was impressed with it. In my head, I don't remember liking it as much. I heard it a million times when I was a kid.
Oh, yeah.
But playing it now, I was like, yeah, it's really pretty good. But you're right, the songs...
It's not traditional.
It's not traditional.
It's like they Van Halenized all these Sabbath classics.
Gillis is shredding on this thing.
It's the best Gillis has ever sounded.
Yeah, unbelievable. But... but as a Sabbath purist, I'm like, he's not playing the songs the way they're supposed to be played. So, I mean, this guy's ripping. And I mean, I actually, no offense, Butch or Brad, I'm like, when I'm listening to it, I go, how did this guy go from this to Night Ranger? Like, he could have wound up in such a...
And Night Ranger's good.
Night Ranger's really good.
Right, but you obviously, by listening to this...
this guy, he shreds. And Gillis is great.
Absolutely.
But, I'm very conflicted with this record. I like it, but at the same time, I'm like,
I mean, Butch included, but I know there are other people out there who think these are the definitive versions of these songs.
There are many people.
I can't accept that.
And of course, we should say there are, with every band that has a live record, there's a lot of discussion about how much is done in the studio later on. Even as a kid, I remember hearing this record going, well, the instruments sound great, but Ozzy's vocals sound so fake.
Yeah.
And, if you listen to the bootleg versions, Ozzy's voice really doesn't sound all that bad. I mean, he's got a couple cracks here and there, but there's some charm in that. So, that's,
a fun album nonetheless.
Yes,
okay?
absolutely.
Speak of the Devil, a fun album nonetheless. But you know what? There's just as much controversy around this one as well.
Definitely.
For a lot of reasons. I think, we talked in the History of Black Sabbath show, part 2, we talked a lot about kind of what was going on behind the scenes while they were trying to put this live album together. Obviously you had two factions of the band not getting along at all these stories about people sneaking into the studio and raising vocals or raising guitars or lowering this, and whatever.
Ronnie James Dio at the time was already talking about doing a solo record.
Right.
I don't know at what point he signed that deal with Warner Brothers, which was Sabbath's label, but he was definitely looking ahead towards, maybe not exactly quitting, but starting to really establish himself as a solo artist. So while that version, I love that version of Sabbath. Yeah, there was a lot of turmoil, which maybe helped fuel the great records.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely an album not without its controversy.
I played this to death when it first came out because I had also seen them live around this time.
That's my number one time.
I hate rubbing that in every time I see you, but I did see them on the Mob Rules tour. But I remember when this first came out, and again, this was pre-internet days, so you usually found out about things way after it happened. And I remember this came out, and I was so into it, and I was like, yes, the future of Sabbath is looking great, and you got fantastic renditions on here like Neon Nights, Children of the Sea, Heaven and Hell, The Mob Rules, Sign of the Southern Cross. Plus you've got, which back in the day, I always thought Dio sang some of those Ozzy classics really well.
Absolutely.
NIB is great on here. Children of the Grave kills on here.
I actually, this is blasphemy, I know, but I actually prefer Ronnie's version of NIB over Ozzy's version.
Wow.
Okay. To me it's darker and...
I dig it. I really dig it. War Pigs, I think, is great. And let's face it, who started the whole, whoa?
Yeah, absolutely. That was, it's so funny whenever Ozzy does it, because it's like...
Now he does that, yeah. But that's, Ronnie started that.
100%.
Go figure, right? And you got the lengthy guitar solo from Tony on here, which is
the drum
just
solo
amazing.
in between War Pigs and Iron Man.
And I always loved, I'm going to see if we can show it.
Oh, yeah.
I love this artwork. Absolutely love it. And then you got the great live shots, which were, if you had the LP back in the day.
I was going to say, when I was a kid, again, pre-internet days, and I unfortunately did not see them in concert in 82. I used to put this record on, and I have the vinyl, and I would stare at the pictures in the gatefold and just listen to the whole record. Start to finish.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that is awesome about this show. It is it plays as a
full concert.
This was the exact set in order that they did every night on the Mob Rules tour in 81, 82. Of course, there's some variation, but that was the whole show, and that was the thinking behind, including the lengthy guitar solo and the drum solo, the long intro to
it's a true
Sabbath.
live album.
Yeah,
it's a true live album. The spirit of the 70s live album.
Absolutely, and I absolutely. I didn't bring my jacket. I have the
we've saw it.
My buddy Des hand painted it.
If you haven't seen it, you got to go watch our History of Black Sabbath shows. Chris shows it off in that one.
I should have brought it, but I absolutely love the artwork on the Sabbath record, whereas on the Ozzy record, it always bothered me. He's wearing Halloween teeth and spitting up some jelly. Yeah. I'm like, that is... which makes no sense because they had such a great stage setup for the Diary of a Madman.
And he didn't even have long hair at the time, right? Didn't he shave his head?
I think that's a wig.
Yeah.
But why didn't they take a nice live photo of the stage show from the Diary of a Madman tour? Because it was such a great setup.
Yeah, I agree.
But anyway, two very different live records.
But by the time this one came out, the band had basically, as we knew it, did not exist. And I remember, and I think I talked about this on our Sabbath show, I was crushed when I finally heard that. Because I was like, I love this lineup. Of course, not long after I heard Ian Gillan was in the band, I was like, whoa, I'm all right with that.
Right. And, it's like you say, back then, pre-internet, you heard about things so much later after they happened. Like, before you knew it, I remember seeing... the Holy Diver, not Holy Diver, I think it was Rainbow in the Dark came out first. The video on MTV. I'm like, holy cow. I mean, they had never played any Sabbath videos.
Right.
So it's like, wow, look at that. There's Ronnie and, Vinny on drums.
Yeah.
And MTV played the hell out of that. So
totally, yeah. So, interesting. Yeah. So, we come down to it. These two records are always going to be compared with each other. I think they're destined throughout the rest of history to be compared, and I think that the record companies set it up that way right from the beginning.
Oh yeah,
right. It was kind of like a dig at both bands, or I think it was more so on Ozzy's part. I think.
Yeah.
But kind of also strange that this was to be the first official live release from the band, because that whole
Live at
Last came out a year or two beforehand, which I remember buying in the import section, and that was not official, that was not endorsed by the band or anything.
That was technically a bootleg in 1980, and that came out to combat Heaven and Hell.
Right.
And that was, I think, NEMS that did the original version in 1980. And the irony is that the Sharon Osbourne version of Sabbath, or the Sharon Osbourne managed version of Sabbath, made that an official live record with
Past Lives.
Couldn't remember the Past Lives.
Which is great.
Yeah,
it
great package.
All sorts of others.
Right.
Yeah. And we'll probably see that in a future episode of this series here. So now we get down to it. So Chris, out of these two, let's call them classics because they are.
No doubt, absolutely. I thought the Ozzy record held up much better than I thought. I was really impressed with Brad Gillis's playing. And we should say, Never Say Die on here. This is, unless I'm mistaken, this is the only time any of the four original members of Sabbath ever played any song off the Never Say Die record after the Never Say Die tour.
I think you are right. I've read that before also.
I believe that was it. So that's an interesting. But anyway, of the two records, absolutely. I got to go Live Evil. Yeah. My all-time favorite live record. I saw that version of the band 18 times, but never on the Mob Rules tour. I wish that's my number one Time Machine show. I wish I could go back to 1982 and see him on the Mob Rules tour. That's my pick. Although Speak of the Devil's great.
Yeah, I agree, and I'm going to say the same thing. This to me is a killer live album. I thought so the day it came out, and I still think so today. And while I find this fun, the traditionalist in me has an issue with it. I think Gillis's performance on here is out of control, great. For me, his playing on a lot of these Sabbath classics to me is a little jarring. It's almost like I almost wish we had some other live album with him that was not playing these songs,
right?
Where he could just shred like he's doing on here, because I absolutely love the playing. He's just. Everything about his sound.
Band sounds great.
They sound great, but I'm just like, I'm listening. I'm like, War Pigs is not supposed to sound that way, right?
I think I forget if it's Paranoid. It's just a couple times. A couple of the songs were much closer, like Black Sabbath.
Yeah.
But like Paranoid, he's all over the place, and I'm like, it sounds really cool. This guy rips, but
there's that big but, right?
Yeah. So I'm agreement. No surprise. 100% with you, Pete.
Exactly. So that's where we're going here. So we're both, if I'm going to equate it to boxing terminology like what I normally do on this show, we've got a 8th round KO here. Probably surprised it took that long, but right. 8 rounds. Hey, you know what? Speak of the Devil held up pretty well, but in the end, the mighty Sabbath reigned supreme. That's the way we're going to go at it today. You guys may feel differently, so you got that little box up in the right-hand corner with the little eye. Post your comments. Vote. You should have a little pop-up there that says vote for Speak of the Devil or Live Evil. Curious to see what you guys think. We're also going to have this poll on the Facebook page. You can vote there as well. So don't touch that dial because Chris is coming right back. We've got 3 more classic live album wars to tackle today. So stay tuned. This is on the web at www.seatranquility.org. We're on Facebook. We're on Twitter. Of course, we're here every damn day on YouTube. Chris, what's cooking with you lately? What can you direct
I am I write the heavy metal column More Metal, which I don't know if you can see that. More Metal, which is published every month in More Sugar magazine. If you're in the Hudson Valley, you can pick this up at restaurants and bars and nightclubs.
Do they have a web presence?
I was just going to say, you can also read the entire contents of the paper at www.moresugar.com. Every month I write the heavy metal column. I take concert photos, and then I also interview bands as well. I just interviewed Michael Schenker, so that's coming up.
We'll have to talk about that off camera.
Absolutely.
Here. So we have a lot of viewers who are from the UK and the Far East and all over creation. So if you can't get yourself a hard copy of this, go onto their website and check out some of Chris's many interviews and cool little editorials and things like that. So Chris, thanks again. We're coming right back.
Thanks for having me, Pete.
All right, so we got more Classic Album Wars coming up shortly, so stay tuned. We'll see you guys real soon. Bye-bye.